This is the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Morph sequence. And here's how it was made.
30 years of Power Rangers. Power Rangers is turning 30 years old this month. August 28th is the 30th anniversary of Power Rangers, and we're going to do a challenge. In that month, I want to turn into every Ranger team there has been in Power Rangers. I've been doing Power Ranger Morphs and fan films and all that stuff for over 10 years now, and I want to put that to the test. I have 31 days to make every Ranger Morph ever, so what we need to do is film the Morph, get the reference footage from the show, research it extensively, like really detailed, really frame by frame, and then try to remake it, and then do that 30 more times. This is gonna be a lot, but I'm really looking forward to it. And we're gonna start today with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. We're gonna start by shooting some scenes. Tyrannosaurus. That's it. That's all I need. Like, literally, that's all I need. Over the years, this morph has been changed and updated quite a few times. It's gone from simple floating hats and green screen t-shirts, to tank tops, to shining lights and glows with lightning, to HD Instamorphs, to, the newest updated morph we recently saw in Once and Always. So there's quite a bit of reference material I had to sort through. Since I already recreated the Mighty Morphin sequence a few years ago as just kind of a small project, I wanted to make something a little different and use things from every single one of these morphs to make the ultimate Mighty Morphin morph sequence. So we need the background, which was just a simple glow in 1993, and Once and Always kind of added a second one corresponding to each color that also kind of goes over the Morpher itself. There we have the next thing, the Morpher, which is honestly just a cutout I used from the Legacy Morpher. And while the original Morph had kind of a TV static behind the Morpher, I chose a more lighting kind of aesthetic, but tried not to go overboard with it. I also really like the glows and the lighting they had coming out for season 3, so I added those as well, but just a few of those. So now, there's only one thing missing. It's Morphin time! Tyrannosaurus! I think the morph turned out really well, and I like watching it a lot. And it's especially nice once you really get to know the original footage and try to recreate it as best as possible, with also kind of putting your own twist into it, with your own style. It really makes you appreciate the work the artists did back then even more. It's day 2 of Power Month, and another completely remade morph sequence from me. Honestly, this was a lot harder than I expected. Starting off, they had those tubes in the original morph, which was apparently CGI, so 3D rendered. I did that completely in 2D and made it look like it's 3D. Then the next hard thing was these bubbles. I could have done that in a tedious particle simulation that would have taken way too long to render, but since I'm on a pretty tight deadline honestly, I decided to just use stock footage of water rising up. And surprisingly, this worked amazingly well. That's pretty much the whole morph. But I don't know, something is still missing. Something the original one had. Oh, I know. It's Morphin time! Yep, definitely the weirder one, but after some frustration, I did have a lot of fun playing with it. Tomorrow, we're going stronger than ever before, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss it. Happy Power Month! Welcome to day 3 of this crazy challenge, everybody. Today, we're going stronger than before. I'm doing the Zeo morph. Things are starting to get a little more complicated from here on out. So, first we need to get images of the Legacy Zeonizer, which I really regret not getting when it was for sale on Amazon. And we have to track that onto my wrists. Once we have that, we need that same Zeonizer image as a background and add some flares and lights to it. Also add some more flares, cause man, that Zeo morph had a lot of glows. And now comes the fun part, the morph itself. I first started just trying to remake the old morph, but then I kinda saw a lot of opportunities and added some of my own style to the morph, making it look a little bit more modern. We now have to put in the star shape and the grid body. After that, fade in the suit from below and add some particles, some glows, some displacement and some blurring, just some simple stuff. And lastly, some mask glows with the saber plugin at the end. And yeah, there we go. Now, we only have one thing left to do. It's Morphin time! Zeo Ranger 5, red! It's It's day 4 and we are remaking the Power Rangers Turbo Morph sequence. Well, the second one. Honestly, this didn't take me too long to do since it was a relatively simple morph. But I really like how different it was to the first one, how much faster paced it was, and how much more it fit the aesthetic of the second half of the season. Truly one of the best and simplest morph of Power Rangers. So, to make that morph, I had to just stand there, act out the morph, then place in the image of the suit, match that to the movement I did, fade it in with some masks, and also I used some chromatic aberration, cause why not? Add in a few glows as always, and yeah, that's pretty much it. One thing I also like with Turbo being different is that they didn't use the classic It's Morphin Time anymore. Instead, they did this. Shift into Turbo! Let me know what you think of Turbo in the comments below, and brace yourselves, cause tomorrow, we're going to space. Power Rangers in Space Morph sequence. And this is how it was made. This was a weird one. It's the first time you actually don't see the Rangers themselves morphing. It's more of just a jump cut to cleverly used Japanese footage. Yeah, most of this is actually Sentai footage. Did you know that you can actually see some of the leftover Mega Ranger text under the added Power Rangers graphic? And what's up with that text in the upper left corner? Tighten up, reality gangster? That's so stupid. No way I'm gonna put this kind of text in my version. Honestly, I do really like that more. This is the first time I had to actually resort to using a 3D model of the Ranger suit. Luckily, there are the mobile games Power Rangers Legacy Wars and Super Sentai Legend Wars, where I have models of most, if not even all, Power Rangers that I could easily use thanks to King Riser and Crossblacker on DeviantArt, who uploaded them online. So, with that out of the way, I pretty much just had to make some of these graphics, obviously put in the original Mega Ranger text and add in some nice little extras that weren't in the original morph. And yeah, that is pretty much it. A nice simple morph that wasn't all that hard to finish. I'm sure the next ones will be just as easy. Okay, let's do what we always do. Let's rock it! This is my Power Rangers in Space morph sequence. For a relatively simple morph, it's honestly really clever and fits the theme pretty well. By the way, thanks to Rookie X Music for letting me use his morph music in my video. Please check him out and spread the Power Moon love. It would mean a lot to me. The Power Rangers Lost Galaxy morph is a pretty simple one, but it's still pretty effective and very nice to look at. To start off, I needed a background. I used some Firestock footage and then I found a high-res pic of the red Quasar Saber for which I could use the emblem of in the background. Now, I needed me in the suit, and since I don't have that, I resorted to using a 3D model from the Super Sentai Legend Wars mobile game and animated the arms. Now some lightning, glows, and the same things as always, and we have that. That is also the start of the tradition of having the visor go down in the last scene of the morph. So many seasons afterwards did that as well. But for Lost Galaxy, since it was the first time they did it, it was done really simple. But that doesn't mean it was bad. It was honestly pretty effective and helped keeping up the thought of the actors being in those suits. Those are stuntmen and women if you didn't know. Sorry. But now, let's get to the fun part. And I even have the Morpher for that, thanks to Melissa Flores. Long story. Go! Galactic! A really fun morph and an amazing way to continue after the supposed ending of Power Rangers within space. Tomorrow we're doing the Lightspeed Rescue morph, and that's a different beast. Wish me luck, everyone. This is the Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue morph, and here's how I made it. Oh my god, this was so hard! Lightspeed and Time Force are the seasons where the VFX artists of the show started using more painted and comic-like effects. And if you look at the scenes from all the seasons frame by frame, you can see that those two, and also Wild Force to some extent, had completely different art styles and direction than the rest of Power Rangers. They're completely unique in that regard, and with that the Lightspeed Rescue morph was extremely hard to pull off because of all the little painted effects that were present for just one single frame. and it also had 4 different scenes, which is more than everything we had before. But it made the Lightspeed Rescue Morph one of the best morphs we've ever had. So, starting off with the first scene, opening the Morpher. Just like previously, I don't have the Morpher, so I had to track that in, and honestly, it worked perfectly. Even my thumb looks exactly like it hits the switch on the Morpher, and the glows make it look really nice. The next scene was probably the easiest one, since I just had to film me for a bit, add the background and the visor-shaped shield. But then the next scene. Oh man, the next scene. So, the Rangers go for the shield, which starts to bend and then form into the Lightspeed suits onto them. I first tried recreating that completely in After Effects and 2D, but it just would not look right. So I had to do something I had never done before. Go to Cinema 4D, my 3D program, and make a cloth simulation based on the visor shield. It took me a while to figure things out and get it right. I even had to have the shield above instead of coming from the right, since I didn't really know how to turn off the gravity in the program. But I used that to my advantage and made it work. The tunnel was done in After Effects again, but also took some figuring out since it was so colorful in the original. After that, we have the visor going down again. And not only that, but so many different details that were put in as well. Glows, lightning, inverted frames, painted things, and just so much more. But now I'm finally done with the sequence and can show it to you. Lightspeed Rescue! I honestly have no idea how I managed to make this morph happen with so little time, and also having to do so many other morphs at the same time. But I'm really happy with how it turned out and can't wait to show you the next one. If you want to support me at this crazy challenge, please watch the other videos I made and let me know what you think in the comments. And also a sub and a like would also really help out a lot, since these morphs do take a lot of time, even if it might seem a bit simple. The Titanium Ranger morph from Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue. Here is how it was made. The first completely original Power Ranger. You know I had to do this morph. I honestly thought that I could reuse a lot of the things I made for the Lightspeed morph, but I don't think I could even reuse the tunnel for that one. But anyway, this one still was a bit more simple to do and didn't have as many one-frame effects as the Lightspeed one had. But it was still pretty fun to do. And this morph also introduced the turning 360 degrees while morphing trope. A lot of other morphs have used that over the years as well, which is exactly why I bought a turntable on Amazon. Other than that, there isn't much to say about the Titanium Ranger morph. It's just a pretty solid morphing sequence with some nice visuals. And it also starts the short-lived trope of having a morph call like this. Titanium power! Let me know what you think of my Titanium Ranger morph. Also, you can watch every previous morph I made. It would also really help out my channel a lot if you shared my insane challenge with other people in the Power Rangers fandom. This is the Power Rangers Time Force morph sequence, and here is how I made it. Welcome back to my big Power Month challenge of remaking a Power Rangers morph every single day for August. Today, it's time for Time Force. I'll be honest, I already made that morph back in 2018 with Power Rangers Hyper Force for the Silver Time Force Ranger. Instead of trying to completely remake it from scratch, I decided to only update my existing one a bit to have more time to work on other morphs like the Wild Force morph, which is so hard to make. And to be even more honest, I never really liked the Time Force morph all too much, since you never actually see the Rangers morphing. There's no suit building onto them, no visor coming down, no helmetless shot, nothing. Just the actors, some DNA, and then the full suit. But that at least makes it easier to pull off on my end. So yeah, let's do this. Time for Time Force! This is the Quantum Ranger morph from Power Rangers Time Force. And here's how I made it. We're almost done with the whole Saban era. Today I remade the Quantum Ranger morph sequence. And this was a really interesting one. So many details I have never noticed. The first one was the background. This was such a trippy thing to make. There are lots of numbers, but the ones on the left side are actually flipped, and there are even more numbers in the background. Also, I only noticed that the glove of the Quantum Ranger appears at the beginning of the morph, The hardest thing to do was probably getting the footage of me on the turntable matched with the resulting 3D model of the Quantum Ranger. But even that was doable, honestly. Other than that, this certainly wasn't a hard one to remake. And his morphing call is just as easy. Quantum power! This is the Power Rangers Wild Force Morph. And this is how I made it. Welcome to day 10 of Power Month. I officially have made 10 different Power Ranger morph sequences. And the Wild Force morph was definitely one of the hardest ones I had to do yet. This was the first time a morph had a 3D model as the big focus. It was the Morpher that turns into an animal and then into the humanoid figure. But did you know that this morph actually wasn't a Power Rangers morph at all? It was 100% the Gao Ranger morph sequence from Super Sentai. They just slapped the Wild Force actors' faces onto the suits and called it a day. I could have done that as well, but this wouldn't be a big challenge if I did that. No, I made the morph completely on my own. The biggest problem was though, that I didn't find a 3D model of the Morpher anywhere online. And I just didn't have the time to make it myself. So, what I had to do was make this morph completely in 2D with only images I found. And yeah, this was extremely difficult to pull off. I did have to make some creative choices to hide some of the perspective changes, but all in all, I'm extremely happy with how it turned out. Now, I also don't have the Morpher. This would have been easier with that one, obviously, so I kinda have to resort to the Mystic Morpher for this morph. Please just imagine it's the Wild Force one. World Axis! Ha! This is the Power Rangers Ninja Storm morph, and it has a pretty cool Easter egg that no one noticed for 20 years. I can now officially welcome you to the Disney era. Today I'm remaking the Power Rangers Ninja Storm morph sequence, which was a really nice change of pace. It's much more quicker than the previous ones, and a bit easier to do as well, since that was when they started using a lot of classic After Effects techniques, which is exactly the program I'm using to make my visual effects. And they had this really cool Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Easter egg, which I don't think anyone's noticed yet. But first, let's go over the morph. Like I said, they used pretty simple techniques like the fractal noise effect for the background, which was cleverly used for the wind, and the shadow effect for when the suit appears, just like they used for the Wild Force morph previously. The rest of the morph wasn't all too hard either, although it definitely would have been easier if I had the actual suit or something, and not just pictures or 3D model, since I always have to match it as closely as possible to the footage I'm recording. Also, by the way those helmets close up has always been something I absolutely love, and they used the open visor version in so many episodes of Ninja Storm. Should they bring that back again? Let me know in the comments below, guys. But now, let's see if you can catch the Easter egg they put in the morph. Ready? Ninja Storm! Ranger form! Ha! This was the Power Rangers Ninja Storm morph. Did you catch the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Easter egg? Look closely when the gold part of the helmet appears. Right afterwards, for just a split second, there's that grid effect that has so far only appeared in the Mighty Morphin and Zeo morphs. That is such a cool Easter egg that they put in there, and it took 20 years for someone to finally notice. I really love that attention to detail. Leave a like if you've seen it, and happy Power Month! This is the Thunder Rangers morph from Power Rangers Ninja Storm, and here's how I made it. Another day, another morph. This time it's the Crimson Thunder Rangers morphing sequence, and honestly that was way more fun than I anticipated. I really love how many lighting VFX I got to use there, and how dynamic the sequence looks. All these details of the lighting, the suit part shooting out at the Morpher, the antlers being on their head for just a split second before going up and forming the helmet. And then a beautiful shot of the visor closing. I've really grown to appreciate it more after recreating it. And it also let me reuse the shot of me pushing out my arm I used for the Quantum Ranger morph sequence again. And I always love being able to reuse shots, since that is kind of what Power Rangers is known for, with Sentai and all. Looking at you, Wild Force morph. Thunderstorm! Ranger form! Ah! This was my Thunder Ranger morph. If you liked it and want to see more, consider subscribing. This is the Power Rangers Dino Thunder morph sequence, and here's how I made it. I've been doing this for 2 weeks now. If you missed any, you can always go back and watch all my other morph sequences in the playlist. But today, we're taking a look at the Dino Thunder morph. Remember when I said that the Disney era morphs were easy? Yeah, I spoke too soon. That morph has so much detail in so little time. It's a really short morph, but has a lot of stuff happening. I was more scared of the backflip, since that obviously is pretty hard to pull off practically, so I had to use a 3D model and find a backflip animation that was usable. And I kinda found one. It was good enough for the shot. For most of the time, I was just trying to remake the morph and not put too much of my own stuff into it. But when making that last shot that was left, I had an idea and continued the sparks and fire into the next scene with the helmet. And I think that turned out pretty well, right? Let's take a look. Ready? Dino Thunder, power up! Ha! This is the white Dino Thunder morph sequence. And here's how it was made. Oh, this was a fun one. I could actually reuse a lot of the assets I made for the Dino Thunder morph, like that tribal background for when the helmets appear, or those suit parts that are flying out. But it was also pretty hard in some parts. The one shot I worked on the most was definitely the shot with the tornado, since that just required a lot of moving parts and transitions. But ultimately, it worked out. And the one that I was scared of the most was the last shot with Trent in the suit turning before having the helmet appear. I don't have the suit, so what I did was film myself on my turntable and be as still as possible, then try to match that turn with the 3D model of the white dino suit and splice them together with masks, a fake neck, and some other techniques to hide the inaccuracies. And honestly went way better than expected and made it look pretty dynamic. See for yourself. White Ranger, Dino Power! How did you like that morph? Leave a comment below. If you liked it and want to see more, consider subscribing. White Ranger, Dino Power! Dino Thunder, power up! Ha! Thunderstorm, Ranger form! Ha! Ninja Storm, Ranger form! Ha! Wild Axis! Ha! Quantum Power! Time Force! Titanium Power! Light Speed, Rescue! Go! Galactic! Let's rock it! Shift in the turbo! It's Morphin time! Zeo Ranger 5, red! It's Morphin time! It's Morphin time! Tyrannosaurus!